Hi and welcome to Art with Mrs. Torres. Today we are going to be making a pop-up turkey card. I thought this would be a fun project for you to do on Thanksgiving, especially when you're waiting for your Thanksgiving dinner. So the supplies you're going to need for today are a half sheet of paper, and I am using a little heavier weight paper. Construction paper or cardstock or watercolor paper will be best for cutting out the turkey. You're also going to need a background piece of paper to make the card, and another maybe different color piece of paper to go behind it. One will be folded in half to make the part of the card that the turkey is attached to. The other one will be the outside edge. So let me show you on my example here. So my turkey is on the white paper. This yellow is my inside part of my card that's been cut. And then the outside of the card is a separate piece of paper. And so you can make them the same color or different. So you're going to need two pieces of paper for your card, one half sheet of paper for your turkey. The other things you're going to need are a pencil, an eraser, a Sharpie marker, glue stick is what I use, a pair of scissors, and lastly, something for coloring with. I'm going to be using markers. I also have markers here, or you could use crayons. So it's up to you, whatever you're more comfortable with, and especially whatever you're going to have around the house on Thanksgiving. So go ahead, pause that video, and then gather up those items and meet me back here, and I'll teach you how to draw our turkey. Welcome back. Okay, you've got your two pieces of paper that you're going to be using for your card. You have one half sheet of a little bit thicker weight piece of paper, like construction paper or watercolor paper or cardstock that you're going to be using to draw your turkey. You have a pencil, an eraser, Sharpie marker, glue stick, and scissors, and something for coloring with. You can use markers or crayons. So the first thing we're going to do is take our outside pieces of paper and fold those in half. So you'll want to make sure your papers are horizontal when you're folding them. And you're going to fold one side over to the other. And do that with both papers. I kind of pre-folded mine ahead of time just to save a little time here. One will be your inside, one will be your outside of your card. The one on the inside we're going to be cutting to help the turkey pop open. So we're going to place those off to the edge of the desk for just a minute, and we're going to make sure you have a half sheet of paper. So this paper needs to be a little bit smaller than your outside paper when we're done drawing the turkey. So it's really important. Right now, it doesn't matter what size it is, but you just want to make sure, that's why I had you cut a half sheet. You want to make sure that your turkey is smaller. Let me show you why. When my card is folded up, when that turkey pops up, it's going to actually move. It's going to shift a little bit with the background. It's hard for me to show you with the camera there, right there. When it folds, you want to make sure that it's not going to pop out of the edge of the paper. So it's important that when we're designing our turkey today, we want to make sure that it is smaller than this paper. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw the head of the turkey. Now, before I begin, I'm going to show you what a real turkey looks like. So as you can see, my turkey looks slightly different than a real turkey. He has a round head. He has a pointed beak. He has a snood. That's this like worm-looking contraption that hangs off of his top of his face. He has this ruffled beard underneath him, but it's actually called a caruncle or wattle. And he's got a big chest, just like the turkey does here. And he has a fan tail, just like the turkey does here. But when you look at the two, I just think you can make him look a little bit sweeter than the face of this turkey here. By the way, did you notice his face is blue? Turkeys can change color when their faces will change color when they're stressed or excited. The first thing I want to do is find the center of my paper and make a little dot. I'm going to be drawing the head right around that dot. So I'm going to start by making a circle. And then for the body, I want a nice chubby body. So I'm going to kind of give him a rounded oval underneath. I'm not going to bring it all the way to the bottom of the paper because I want to save room for his feet. Once I have the shape of his head and his body, then I can go in and erase that dot in the middle. I'm also going to erase the line that separates his head from his body. Now I'm going to come right up here to the center of his head and I'm going to start to draw his beak. First part of his beak that we're going to draw is the top of the beak, which is just a gentle curve. It's going to come down to a point. And you can make the beak as large or small as you'd like. And then we're going to draw that hunk of skin that comes from the top of his beak and hangs down. This is called his snood, and the male turkeys have this. Then we're going to draw the eyes. So I'm going to do more of a cartoon version. So I'm going to start with a nice wide rainbow shape on both sides. And you can make the lower eyelid slightly curved like this to make him look happy, or you could make it like a big, huge oval. I'm going to add the pupils. Your turkey can be looking any direction you'd like him to be looking. And then I'm going to add that extra kind of wobbly beard-like skin that comes down. We'll color that red later. And that area is called his caruncle or wattle. Next, we're going to add his wings on the sides. I'm just going to draw a simple wing for now. I can change it when I get to the marker later. And I'm going to add a little bit more feathers underneath that. And then on the very back, right behind his head here, I'm just going to add a little bit more of his back. So if you look at the photograph of the turkey here, you can see they have this big ridge behind their head. So that's what I'm adding. I'm just adding that little ridge behind his head. I'm just making mine a little smaller. And then for the tail, you want to make sure, this is very important, that you don't bring it up to the top of the paper. Remember, we want him to be smaller than this outside paper. And so I'm just going to bring one line up above his head. I'm going to save room at the top because I don't want his tail to get too tall. And then I'm going to come over here to the side of his body and I'm going to draw another line that fans out this direction. And then another line that fans out this direction. So this area here is going to be his tail. So what I'm going to do is just kind of make an arch that comes from one side to the other. Whether you can see my pencil line or not, I might need to draw a little bit darker. There you go. And then for drawing the tail feathers, let me show you in the photograph. Each tail feather is wide and is rounded on the ends, and they all come from a center point. Do you see that? How they kind of fan out like this? And I liked the colors of this tail feathers, even though it's not facing forward, but you can kind of see how they all fan out, almost like the rays of the sun. So if you think about this being the center point, all of your lines need to come from this point and go out. So all I'm going to do is just bring those lines toward the center. And you could make a little smaller one over here and here if you'd like to. All right, once I've done that, I'm going to round the top of each feather. so that it doesn't look so perfect here. So I'm just going to round this up like that. I'm going to do the same on this side. And then we can go in and erase the lines underneath. So I'm going to get my magic rub to go in and erase these lines here. That way when I use my marker later, I won't ink in the wrong lines. Okay, now we are ready to add a little bit of toes poking out from underneath. So I'm just going to make a wavy line underneath for his feet. 1, 2, 3. I'm not going to make his feet very large, but this area here will be what we glue down to the strip of paper. Once I'm done drawing him, then I'm going to go in now and take my Sharpie marker and trace over my lines. So go ahead and pause the video and you trace over your lines and meet me back here when you're done. Okay, I am done inking in my turkey, and now I'm going to go in with my magic rub eraser and erase my pencil lines. So the next step is going to be coloring our turkey, and so for this step, depending upon what supplies you happen to have around, especially on Thanksgiving, you can use crayons, you could use Sharpie markers, if you have a set of markers, you could use Crayola markers. You could even use chalk pastels if you have chalk. Now, we're working in a small space, so when you are doing this, I would not recommend working with oil pastels because they're kind of sticky. And when you're making a card, if you work with oil pastels, when the card is folded, some of the oil pastel might rub off onto the other side of the paper. I think crayons are the best. To be honest with you, I think crayons or markers are the best. I used markers because they're quick. All right, I am done erasing. Now I am ready to decide what I'm going to be using for coloring. So in my picture here, I used markers, and the colors that I used were, I used this peach color that I happen to have, and I used also brown. I used orange. I used yellow, and I used a little bit of the black marker too. You could also use your Sharpie marker. Now you might notice that the body is a little bit textured, and the way I did that is I took a brown crayon after I colored my peach color, and that's how I got that effect. So let me show you how I did that. So I took my marker with the peach color and I ran this over the turkey first. The reason I didn't use the brown, it seemed really dark the first time that I did it. So I tried the peach instead. And then what I did was I ran a crayon over it. So I just took the brown and ran the crayon over the peach once it dried. And I liked that combination. So I want you to experiment and find out what works best for you. I also colored the lower portion of his head with the red, because if you look at the photo here, he's got that big, bright red, fleshy skin that hangs down, kind of like his beard. So I blended my peach color, and then I just added the red, blended the peach and the brown crayon, and added the red at the bottom. So you'll have to decide what colors you want to make that, or even if you want to add it. And then we will decide again what colors you're going to make your tail feathers. So when you're doing your tail feathers, one thing you want to think about is it's not a peacock, it's a turkey. So you might want to stick with more of the warm colors and not necessarily go into like blues and purples and those kind of colors. So now I'm almost ready to go in and color the red. And the snoot is red also. Isn't that a funny name? A snood. So you could do this with your crayon, or you could go in with your marker. Since it's a small space, I think I'll go in with my crayon. And my next part will be figuring out my tail. Now, and the feet too. So your feet could be orange or yellow or gray. I'm just going to make them a soft gray by coloring my black crayon really lightly. And the beak, I'm going to do a yellow. I think I'm going to use my marker for the beak. It's a little brighter. And then there's this one little section behind him of his back. So I'm just going to do that with my crayon. So for the tail feathers, when you're looking for some color choices, I want you to notice how the turkey's colors go. So he has a band of color that wraps completely around the tail. So this is going to make it really easy for coloring our turkey tail because each tail feather isn't different. They're all the same, and the pattern continues from one side all the way around to the other. So how I did that for my picture was I just scribbled up and down in a rainbow around the entire tail feathers. So starting out with any color in your crayon set or your marker set. So I'm going to try orange first, and you can just choose one spot and literally color up and down like this. So this is kind of like a rusty orange color. I rarely ever pick this marker up because it's kind of a strange color that's in my color box, but it's perfect for his tail. So you see how I just kind of scribble up and down? When you're done, it's kind of fun to rotate colors too. So if you do a light color, then the next one can be something darker. So I could go in with a red or a brown or a black and color something a little darker underneath. Doing the same thing, I'm just following that curve all the way across. So you can see why I like markers, because you can do this really fast. Especially if you're going to be teaching your family how to do this. This will be a fun project on Thanksgiving Day. Then you can change to another color. So I'm going to go with something a little darker now. I'm going to go with this chocolate brown color. And peach that I haven't used, so I'm going to use the little peach. Now I'm going to leave the tip of his tail white, because I noticed in my photographs that the tip of the turkey's tail is white. All right, well, you get the idea. So you're going to have to figure out what colors you're going to be using. By the way, you could also repeat your colors again too. So if you have a color, you can do a pattern. So this is my other orange that I have. It's a more bright, true orange. All right, when you're all finished with your turkey, then you're going to cut him out. So now I'm going to take my scissors and cut him out. And just be kind of careful as you're cutting him out. So I'm going to pause my video and cut my turkey out. You go ahead and you cut your turkey out. I'll meet you back here in a minute. Okay, I got my turkey cut out. He is smaller than my background paper, so that's a good sign. And what I'm going to do now is decide which do I want to be the inside color. So I think I'm going to go with the lighter color, but you have to decide. And if you have all the same color, that's fine. You can draw a background, you could write something later. So you're going to find out which paper you want to be your inside card. And one trick that will be helpful. You can do it two ways. One way is you can trim it at the end. The second way is you can go right now and trim a little bit off the end of the inside card. So you can take just another piece of paper, even just this piece of paper, and just trim a little bit off. And the reason you want to do that is that once we fold the inside card, it's going to stick out. It always pops out at the edge. And you can trim it later, but I just find if you do it beforehand, it's just a little faster. So I just cut a little tiny, tiny bit off this one. So it, hopefully when I fold it, it's going to be even with the inside card not sticking out. Okay. Now we're going to take this piece of inside card and we are going to cut two lines. So we have a little section in the middle that's going to pop out. So I'm going to take my pencil here and I'm going to make, so this is my folded side, by the way, I should have said that. This is my folded side. So I'm going to make one line and another line like this. Now, if you want to make some words pop out later, you can do that too. For now, we're just going to work on the turkey. So you're just going to draw two lines, and it doesn't really matter whether it's right in the center or not. I'm going to put mine a little bit off the center. The center of my card would be right about here, because I think I'm going to show you how to cut a second cut so we can have a little sign pop up too. All right, so I'm going to make two lines that come out. And those lines are going to be the part that your turkey is attached to. So it's very important that you make sure that this is wide enough to hold up that turkey. Now, once I have that, you want to make sure that these also don't pop out too far, because then the farther that they come out, the more chance your turkey is going to stick out of the edge. So when I set my turkey here, there needs to be still a little space there before I finish and I get ready to cut. So now I'm going to cut those two lines. Just take my scissors and cut those two lines very straight. And I'm going to fold those two lines up like this. I'm just going to take that little piece and fold it up. I'm going to rub my finger on that fold really well. And open it up, fold it again, and open it up. Now the reason I want to open it up is now I'm going to take the card and bring it forward and open it. And I'm going to take my finger from the back and I'm going to push right there on that little space and pop it in. So I think you can see this on my camera. So you kind of have to wiggle it a little bit to get your finger to push that section in so it pops forward. Can you see that fold right there? I'm going to turn my paper so you can see it. Now once I get that part folded in, I'm going to reclose my card like this and rub it right where that fold is. So it's got a nice crisp little, looks like a little step. Do you see it? That is the part I'm going to attach my turkey to. So I'm going to set my turkey right here. So his feet are going to attach there. So I'm going to take a little tiny bit of glue. Now I'm not going to glue the actual turkey. I'm going to glue this piece right here that he's going to be attached to. So here would be my card. This little step right there is the part that I need to glue. Not this top part, but this little part right here in front. So I'm going to glue a little bit of glue right on that little step. Just that one space right there, not up here. And then I'm going to set my turkey. Now you can actually stand it up if you want to see what it's going to look like. I'm going to fold my card over and rub, and hopefully you can see him pop up. So So you can see the angle, he's glued right on that front of that step. When he's laying down, he pops up like this, so you can kind of see if I fold it back. All right, so once that's done, then you can take your outside card and place that in front like this. And now you have your Thanksgiving card. Let me turn it this way so you can see it. So you could stop here and you could write the words Happy Thanksgiving or gobble, gobble, gobble or something. And then you can put a little message to your family here. That's one idea. Or you could go one step farther and make another fold and make a little sign for your turkey to hold. See how I wrote gobble, gobble, gobble on another piece of paper? So let me show you how I did that. So you could stop at this point, or you could move forward and do another cut. So for my next cut is going to be to the side of my turkey. So I have to hold my card open and make sure that I'm away from his tail feather right here for my next cut. So that's about 1.5 fingers away, maybe right about there. So I'm gonna make a little mark here where I want to make my next cut. And I'm going to make this one much skinnier, a lot smaller, because it's going to be a small piece of paper. And I'm going to make it a tiny bit longer. So then I'm going to take my scissors and cut that strip again, making sure I am not near my turkey feathers, which hopefully I'm not. I'm going to cut that. 1, 2. And remember, we have to get the fold first before we can pop it open. So I'm just going to go like this and rub my fold really well with my finger, get a good rub on it, open it, rub it again. And you want to keep it sealed like that when you open it up. And what you're going to do is you're going to open the card, pop it forward. And this one popped really easy, which is nice. And then refold it once it's poked in there. So I've got a nice popped fold right there. So now I can go in and I can write something on another piece of paper. So maybe you want to make, a little turkey joke, or you want to make these like a little gift for someone. You want to write their name on it or something. So I wrote the word gobble, 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 and I just colored it with markers. And you're just going to add a little bit of glue to the same spot, not the top, but this front facing edge right here. So you don't want to glue the back of your card that you made. You want to glue the actual little step. I call it the step. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on that lower section, not the top section, just the lower section here. Then I can place my little gobble gobble sign on. And then fold it up, rub it with my finger, and pop it open. That worked. Excellent. So my final part is to go ahead and put my background paper on. And there's your finished card. Now the last thing you want to do is you're going to fold your card up, and you're going to add a little bit of glue to the back side here with your glue stick, and then rub this, and then you're going to flip it over and add a little bit of glue to this side. So when you're doing this, you don't really need a lot, but you want to make sure that that fold is right into the fold of the background paper. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glue. Tuck that fold in. And there you have it. Well, I hope you had fun today learning how to make a pop-up turkey card. I hope you can teach your family how to do this. I think they would really enjoy that project on Thanksgiving. And I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving surrounded by family and friends. And I'll see you for our next art lesson. Have a great day.